This is a partly soy-based polyurethane surfboard blank, and although I didn't actually find this in the bin, it was heading that way before I picked it up. It's heavily discoloured, has chunks missing from it, and some deep gouges. It also doesn't have a stringer, which helps give the board some stiffness and the right flex. Without a stringer, it would flex too much. Best case scenario, not surfing well. Worst case scenario, snapping in half, even after laminate reinforcement. There's a few ways to split a blank: band saws, track saws, jigsaws, and hand saws. But today, I'm using a simple router. For this stringer, I wanted to use offcuts of western red cedar, a nice orangey brown wood, and a paler Douglas fir. Inspired by a board I saw from Roger Hines, I decided to mill up a unique T-band, which is usually one type of wood sandwiched between two others. In this case, I wanted hundreds of end grain pieces as my central part. This was purely an aesthetic detail, with the main strength coming from the two other stringers either side of the centre. Next up was to cut almost 300 dominoes for the central part of the stringer. I really wish I had a chop saw for this part. I also added some contrasting bog oak, which is thousands of years old, looks incredible, but is notoriously hard to work with as it's so tough. This one's going to be a 9-3 longboard, and I'm adding a tail block, milled from carpentry offcuts. I like tail blocks as they not only look great, but protect one of the most vulnerable parts of the board from wear. Now everything is glued up, the shaping can start. The first thing to do is to skin the blank, removing any glue residue and old foam to see what we're working with. This blank is an MDI formula, so it has a uniform density throughout. Some other TDI foams have a harder external crust and a softer internal core. I was actually very surprised with the colour of this blank. I'd shaped a couple of these before and the discoloration was pretty severe. Aside from some still quite deep gouges and cuts in the board, which would either disappear as it's shaped or be dealt with at a later stage. With the board now completely skinned, it's time to start working on the outline. The wide point for this one is right in the middle, and from that reference I'm measuring 23 inches across. Given my limited space, all my outlines are spin templates, which are roughly half the length of the desired board. Each side of the template reflects the nose and the tail of a board. I also use these to blend different outlines together, like with this one. There's a couple of different ways to cut the outline as well. Various different saws, routers, and jigsaws. I like to use a jigsaw just because it's quick and accurate. With the outline cut and cleaned up, it's time to start shaping the board properly. Foiling the deck, bottom contours and the rails, blending it all together and moving up through the tools and grits from coarse to fine. This board's bottom contours are fairly simple, but tried and tested. V in the tail to help with turning, a light roll everywhere else, and a blended nose concave to aid with nose riding. The board's now fully shaped and we can move on to laminating. There's lots of different types of cloths and cloth weights that can be used. And if you're buying a board, or maybe building one yourself, it's important to know what you're getting, as each offers different properties: strength, weight, and flex. I'd like to eventually move away from fiberglass completely and use more naturally derived products, like cellulose and basalt. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a ready supply here yet in the UK. This is a real pressed poppy. I won't get into the details, but let's just say it was growing in a very sentimental place. I decided to give this board a very light brown tint to mask some of the discoloration on the blank. I'm laminating all my boards with a high bio-content epoxy resin, as I feel it produces a stronger product and releases less VOCs, vital for my current setup. From here, it's mainly sanding, and plenty of it. coming in at 9'3", 23 wide and 2 7/8 inches thick. If you're after a board in the UK, drop me a message. Ways to contact me are on the screen now. And thanks for watching. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments, as this is my first attempt at longer form video content. Thank you.